Yeah, next.
So anyway, next.
We got Kevin in New York. How are you? And sorry for the wait.
That's good to get riled up, though.
Dylan.
Kevin?
Yeah, hi.
How you doing?
Sorry for the wait.
That's all right. Enjoying the conversation.
Well, all right.
That makes one of us.
Oh, I was enjoying it very much.
I hate lies.
Well,
and I
so
hate
do-
idiots.
I love calling out lies, though.
Anyway, so go ahead, Kevin.
What have you got for us, sir?
I just want to say I believe I can prove the existence of God.
Oh, boy.
Bring it.
All right. Basically, you have sexual reproduction. I mean, you have the scientific fact that all life can only come from life.
No, you don't.
Life, anyway.
No, you don't have that as a scientific fact.
Yeah, we do. It's called the law of biogenesis, actually.
It's not. It's not what you're saying that all life can only come from life. It's that all we've observed is life coming from life. Abiogenesis, by the way, is a field of study that is demonstrated scientifically in the lab that life can come from non-living matter.
It actually can't. That's not true.
Well,
okay.
So
believe me, I've done the research. I've been on both sides of the fence.
Okay, give us a site for that. Then.
Hang on, because I'd ask you how on earth you can baldly assert that when people like John Oros have demonstrated that it does happen. I mean, and not just the Uri Miller experiments, which had a different atmosphere from Earth, but still demonstrated that you get the building blocks of life from non-living material. But Oros has done work with this as well. We know that it's at least possible. And not only that, but we know that it had to happen.
Yeah, and life is, life is chemistry, really. You know, I mean, it's just...
Actually, the Miller-Urey experiment didn't really prove anything. All it said, like you said, it proved that building blocks of life can be formed, but...
That's all you need?
That's like saying you got a pile of bricks, and that makes...
No, it's not like saying that. No. It's not like we ended up with a bunch of Legos and nobody to put them together. We're talking about self-replicating DNA, or RNA in that case.
Yeah.
That has never been proven in any lab experiment ever.
Okay. I disagree with you, but however, even if it hadn't, it doesn't mean...
I disagree with something that's pretty much blatant fact.
Well,
Kevin,
again,
even if it had never been proven, which is an assertion of yours that I disagree with, it doesn't prove your point. See, just because we haven't demonstrated that life can come from non-living material doesn't mean that it can't.
Well, if you go by logic, I mean, let's see, we have so many...
If you go by logic, Socrates was a cat. I mean, come on. It's what science works on evidence, okay? Now,
right.
And just because we don't have particular...
Evidence suggests that life can only come from life. I mean, yeah,
no, it doesn't. No, Kevin. Kevin, that's the swan fallacy. There are no black swans because all we've ever seen are white swans. It's a demonstrable logical fallacy, and if it's the building block of your argument for the existence of God, you already lost.
Okay, but listen to this.
All right.
How you can prove? You say the burden of proof is on me, but actually it's on you.
No, it's not.
Oh, really?
Realistically, because you're making a superficial, or not superficial, I don't know the word for it, but...
We're saying that we don't believe in your invisible man in the sky.
Saying that, the burden of proof isn't on you because you say God doesn't exist.
No, Kevin, you're not getting it. If I say to you, God doesn't exist, I have a burden of proof. I've said this 1,000 times. However, you're asserting that God exists, and I'm saying I don't believe you. Where's your evidence? You have the burden of proof because you're asserting a claim. And by way, Kevin, in an attempt to demonstrate your case that you have the burden of proof for, you begin constructing a logical argument. And you begin with the premise that life can only come from life. And I reject your premise.
Also, you started this call when you called in saying, I can demonstrate that God... So you pretty much declared yourself to have the burden of proof and the proof.
I didn't call you and say, I can prove to you that there is no God.
I mean, you called up and you said, I've got some proof to give you. So, at least in this conversation, you've got the burden of proof because you declared yourself to be the man with the proof. All right.
But
I'm stating my proof. You just give me.
We
yes,
did.
because I did give you a chance.
We gave you a chance, but we explained why, in our opinion,
it's not
your
an opinion.
premise was you were working from a false premise.
It's not an opinion.
Yeah.
Your premise has not been demonstrated, and your assumption that life can only come from life is an inductive argument. You've used an inductive argument to reach a premise, and it is a demonstrably flawed one in the same way that the black swan fallacy is.
And in any event, if life can only come from life, then you were left with either, two possibilities.
Biological life, yeah.
Yeah, biological life.
God's biologically alive.
Yeah. Then what that means is if we are here as the result of a deity, then you are going to have to go into detail about the mechanisms by which this deity created life. You simply cannot say, well, then this must lead to a deity. No. You have to you have to be ready and prepared to explain the process.
Yeah, you're trying to go from a purported effect to its cause by way of nonsense.
And this is going to require you not merely to propose a God as the answer, but you now have to explain this God. You have to explain, if this God is alive, because life can only come from life, then how is this God alive? And what sort of being is this? Is he bigger than a bread box? Is he alive in the way we understand life? Does he have metabolic processes? Does he take dumps? Does he eat? Does he fart? Does he sleep? Does he have to clean out his earwax? What sort of being is this?
Well, no,
Where
we
does
don't
he live,
necessarily.
right?
You don't necessarily have to know all that.
I'm exaggerating
to
make the point. But the thing is, at a basic level, you have to explain in what way this being is alive. See, so you're really opening yourself up for a lot more than you think you are. I think that you're just being able to say, well, because science hasn't proven life from non-life, therefore God. As the default. And you seem to think that that's really kind of all you have to do. And no, I think that there's a lot more detail to what you're going to have to...
Yes, and it is, by the way, an argument from ignorance. Mm-hmm. As we mentioned earlier, where you say that because science has not proved that this is the case, therefore my assumption that it's not the case is valid. Mm-hmm. It's an argument from ignorance. Sorry.
And it also gets you to infinite regress, because if God's alive, then some living thing must have... And so on, and so anyway. It's a big mess.
So many things wrong.